Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. You ready to jump in?
Always excited to dive into something new. What are we looking at today?
So we're going deep on radical self-acceptance, specifically for autistic adults.
Okay.
We've got a ton of sources,
Hmm.
blog posts, articles, even personal stories about it.
Interesting.
And I'm really hoping we can figure out how this concept can actually empower people.
I think what's so interesting is that we're talking about radical self-acceptance.
Yeah,
Not just like your average garden variety, I'm okay with myself kind of thing.
right.
It's a lot stronger than that.
Exactly. And I'm wondering if maybe we all need a little bit more radical acceptance,
Hmm.
regardless of, if we're on the spectrum or not.
Yeah.
But before we go too far down that path,
Sure.
I think we need to make sure that everybody listening is on the same page about what autism is,
Absolutely.
more than just the basics.
Yes, really.
Like the challenges and the social interaction and the communication.
Right. And it's important to remember that autism is a spectrum. Yes. You've got people who are highly verbal and folks who communicate nonverbally.
Right.
Some people who have intense sensory sensitivities and others who, experience it differently.
So many variations.
So much diversity within the community.
And we have to keep that in mind.
Throughout the entire deep dive, absolutely.
I think that makes a lot of sense because it's not one size fits all.
Nope.
So I'm curious how that plays into, people's experience with self-acceptance as well.
Absolutely.
Let's get into that.
Yep.
Why is radical self-acceptance so crucial for autistic adults especially?
I think you have to think about all the messages that society sends about being different,
Okay.
both subtle and not so subtle.
Yeah.
There's this constant pressure to fit in, to mask certain traits, to constantly strive to be normal.
Right.
And for autistic individuals who might already feel like they're navigating a world that isn't built for them,
Yeah.
these external pressures can be really damaging.
It's almost like you're being told to apologize for being who you are. Like you have to try and fit into this box that's just not made for you.
Absolutely.
And then you start to have some self-doubt.
Right. And that's where this idea of radical self-acceptance comes in.
Right.
It's about saying, you know what?
Yeah.
This is me. This is how my brain works. I'm not going to waste my energy trying to be somebody I'm not.
Wow.
Reclaiming your power and recognizing your worth.
I love that.
Autism and all.
So what does that actually look like in practice?
Yeah.
Is it just a mindset shift? Are there like concrete steps that you can take?
Right.
I mean, honestly, even I struggle with just regular self-acceptance, let alone the radical kind.
You're not alone.
Okay, good.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not a destination.
Okay.
And one of the first steps that our sources highlight over and over again
Yeah.
is cultivating self-compassion.
Self-compassion. Okay, so that sounds lovely.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean? How do you do that?
Especially when you're dealing with all the challenges of being on the spectrum. Really.
Exactly.
It starts with treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding
All right.
that you would offer a close friend.
Okay.
Think about it for a second.
Yeah.
If your friend was struggling, would you berate them?
Hmm.
Would you tell them they weren't good enough?
Definitely not.
But we do that to ourselves all the time.
Oh, that's so true.
We direct all that harshness inwards.
Ugh. Yeah, we are our own worst critics.
So often.
Instead of focusing on what we think are our flaws, maybe we should highlight our strengths.
Yeah. One of the sources suggested keeping a strength journal.
Ooh,
Just write down small wins or moments where you felt proud of yourself.
interesting.
It could be anything.
Okay.
From mastering a new skill
Yep.
to simply getting out of bed on a tough day.
Wow.
The point is to shift your focus to the positive.
Right.
Remind yourself of what you're capable of.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the negative self-talk
Yes.
that we forget to acknowledge those accomplishments, whether they're big or small.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like building this highlight reel of
Yeah.
all the awesome things about yourself.
Okay.
And, it's not just about acknowledging what you're good at. It's about embracing the things that make you different. The things that make you stand out.
So instead of trying to fit in, we should be celebrating
Yeah.
those unique perspectives.
Exactly. Remember, autism isn't a deficit.
Okay.
It's a different way of
Yeah.
experiencing and interacting with the world,
Okay.
and it brings its own strengths.
So true.
Maybe you're hyper-focused on certain interests, or you see patterns that other people miss,
Okay.
or maybe you have a unique way of communicating.
Right.
These are all things that should be recognized.
And appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's like we've been conditioned to think that there's only one right way to be,
Yeah.
and anything outside of that is wrong or needs to be fixed.
Right.
What if those differences are actually our superpowers?
That's the radical part.
Love that.
Challenging those assumptions, redefining what it means to be successful or
Right.
well-adjusted.
Right.
Our sources actually touch on this concept of double empathy,
Oh.
which I think is so fascinating.
Okay, tell me about that.
It suggests that communication breakdowns often happen,
Yeah.
not because autistic people lack empathy, but because there's just a fundamental difference in communication styles and understanding between autistic and non-autistic people.
So instead of expecting autistic individuals to adapt to
Right.
the neurotypical way of communicating,
Yeah,
we should be meeting them halfway
absolutely.
and embracing those differences.
Precisely.
Wow, that's a huge mindset shift.
Yeah.
It makes me think about all the challenges that autistic adults face.
Sure.
Sensory overload, navigating social situations,
Mm.
even dealing with autistic burnout,
Yeah.
which I just learned about from these sources.
It's a real thing.
It must take so much resilience
It does.
to navigate a world that's not always built with neurodiversity in mind.
Absolutely. And that's why this radical self-acceptance is so important.
Yeah.
It's not just about feeling good about yourself.
Yeah.
It's about giving yourself the tools to advocate for your needs,
Right.
set boundaries,
Ah.
create a life that actually works for you.
So one of the things that really stood out to me
Yeah.
was how important it is to surround yourself
Yes.
with positive influences,
Uh-huh.
people who understand and accept you
Right.
for who you are.
Absolutely.
And they even mentioned specific online communities,
Yeah.
like ASN,
The Autistic Self-Advocacy Network.
yes, and ADWN,
The Autistic Women and Non-Binary Network.
which can make a world of difference.
Such incredible sources of support and validation.
Yeah, like you said earlier, finding your tribe,
Exactly.
that place where you can just be yourself,
Yeah.
no judgment, no pressure to mask.
Absolutely.
Speaking of personal stories,
Yes.
I think it's time to dive into that anecdote that we were talking about before.
I was hoping we'd get to that.
You know, the autistic adult who found empowerment
Yeah.
through radical self-acceptance?
I love how stories bring these concepts to life.
Oh, they totally do.
Yeah.
This particular story is from one of the blog posts.
Okay.
And it talks about this person who spent years struggling to fit in,
Yeah.
feeling like they were constantly falling short
Right.
of expectations.
Ugh. It's heartbreaking
Look at that.
how many people feel pressure to suppress who they are
Totally.
just to try and gain acceptance.
So this person tried to mask their autistic traits to be more normal,
Right.
but they were exhausted
Yeah.
and unfulfilled.
It makes sense.
And then all of a sudden, this person had this epiphany.
What happened?
They realized they were wasting so much energy
Yeah.
trying to be someone they weren't.
Wow.
So they decided to embrace their autism fully.
Good for them.
They started exploring their special interests,
Uh-huh.
connecting with other autistic adults,
Yeah.
celebrating their unique way of thinking.
And how did that go?
The blog describes it as a complete transformation.
Really?
Their anxiety and depression decreased.
Wow.
Their relationships became more genuine
Oh, that's great.
and more fulfilling
I love that.
because they weren't hiding parts of themselves anymore.
Yeah.
They even discovered new passions and talents
That's incredible.
that they didn't even know they had.
It just shows you how powerful it can be
Yes.
to let go of that pressure to conform
Absolutely.
and just embrace who you truly are.
And it's not just about feeling better internally, right?
No.
It's about unlocking your full potential,
Yeah.
finding your voice,
Yeah.
and contributing to the world
Absolutely.
in a way that feels authentic to you.
It's so true.
Makes you wonder why we aren't all taught this radical self-acceptance thing, like
Yeah.
from when we're kids.
Imagine.
How much easier it would be to navigate the world,
Yeah.
not just for autistic individuals, but for everyone.
If we just started from a place of acceptance
Right.
and celebrating our differences.
What if we embraced all the different ways that people's brains work
Oh, it would be amazing.
and encouraged everyone to shine?
It would make the world
Yeah,
such a more vibrant and compassionate place.
absolutely. So I think as we're wrapping up this deep dive,
Okay.
it would be helpful to go over some key takeaways
Sure.
for our listeners.
Yeah. What do you think are the most important things for people to remember?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that radical self-acceptance isn't just some luxury.
Right.
It's absolutely essential
Yeah.
for autistic adults.
The well-being.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that autism isn't something that needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a core part of who you are,
It's a different way of being.
and it should be celebrated.
Absolutely. And celebrating that unique neurology
Yeah.
can lead to all sorts of benefits.
Like what?
Like reduced anxiety,
Right.
stronger relationships,
Yeah.
greater sense of purpose.
It's like giving yourself permission to be you without apology.
I love that.
So the second takeaway is that cultivating that radical self-acceptance,
Yeah.
it's a process.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And it's about, practicing self-compassion,
Mm-hmm.
celebrating your strengths,
Right.
embracing those things that make you different,
Yeah.
and surrounding yourself with those people who support you.
Those positive influences.
Yes. It's about being your own best advocate
Absolutely.
and creating a life that truly honors who you are
That works for you.
and your needs and aspirations.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say is that there's no one right way to do this.
Yeah,
It's about finding what works for you,
absolutely.
taking it one step at a time.
And remembering that you're not alone,
There are so many resources out there.
like those online communities
Yeah, ASAN and AWN,
that can connect you with others.
who understand what you're going through.
Yes, this has been so eye-opening for me.
Me too.
It's made me rethink so many things.
It's really made me appreciate the power of radical self-acceptance. Not just for autistic individuals,
Right.
for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if our listener is walking away with just one question,
What would it be?
what is one small step
Okay.
that you can take today
Mm-hmm.
to embrace yourself more fully,
Yes.
to honor your unique neurology,
I love that.
and to step into the world with a little more radical self-love?
Beautiful.
What a great question.
Thanks.
And remember, even the smallest steps can make a big difference.
They really can.
So keep diving deeper
Keep exploring.
and keep celebrating
Yeah.
the amazing individual that you are.
That's what it's all about.
We'll catch you on our next deep dive.
See you then.